Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our Monday morning trading session. Hope you had a nice weekend. I know I sure did. Hang on one second here. There we go. It's been only 2 days and I've almost forgot how to use the software. A very quiet start to the day so far. We've had, well, here, let's take a look at the overnight. We'll take a look at the overnight here in the Eagle. And you can see really nothing. The market's still very, very sideways. This is where they left off on Friday. We're pretty much starting in the exact same place. No solid signal here. Our hawk, quite a few yellow bars. Filter starting to break up. You can see everything is out of sync here. We're pretty much lacking any directionality at the moment. It looks like we are technically producing a first micro-macro cross signal right here. This is the type of signal you're probably going to want to dial down your risk amount a little bit, and the signal has since broken, but I'm going to show you why. So here's the signal. You can take it like this. You're probably going to want to try to cover above the high, and it seems like that's going to be out of reach for me. So what if I covered above there? The problem is we're still moving sideways, right? So we're technically, even though this is just a scalp and we've got a short-term target, there is a possibility we're going to see a reaction as we encounter the bottom end of this trading range. And you can see there's the reaction. It came up just a tick short of our profit objective, would have hit our break-even trigger, so now we would be out at break-even or break-even +1, but even so, and here they come retesting the lows, kind of, sort of. So until we get outside of that sideways range, it's going to be very difficult trading today. Here the Raptor producing a rule of 3 type scenario. This is a signal that's usually characteristic of the Eagle, but we can take it here too on the Raptor, and what we would be looking at here, this is essentially a trend change signal. And there we go, throw a sell order. I would do a sell order below the lows, and I would try to cover above the swing highs. Now, this particular signal, we would be taking on what we refer to as a second push. In other words, we're looking for the market to, it has engaged the signal, it's retreated from the signal. Now we're looking for that second push of momentum before getting in. Now, often this is a good way to avoid getting stuck on the wrong side of a trade, but honestly, look at how the Geiger counter was pulled over there to the hard side, to the buy side. We'll see whether there's any follow through here now, or whether the buyers just allowed the market to slip enough. Come on, sellers. What are we? Oh, we're only about 5 minutes into the session. Come on, get down there just a little bit. Come on. If we get one more reversal bar here, we should be in pretty good shape. The buyers trying to dig in as we get closer to this support down here. Obviously, this whole 46.84 area, a little bit of sensitivity there. We got a late filter entry signal here on the Falcon. Two of them, as a matter of fact. First one developed right here, just prior to the open, and this one just a few minutes after the open. Same issue though, right? Because the market is sideways, we've got this little bit of congestion going on between the highs and the lows here. We really want to risk it up there. And I'm probably going to, if the market doesn't continue lower here in a moment, I'm probably going to have to adjust my Raptor trade to get my stop up there. But you can see we're kind of hovering right now around the median line. That's to be expected when the market lacks direction. And we're into the hard edge on the Eagle, but the Eagle, as we saw, has been flip-flopping quite a bit. Not really very helpful at the moment. All right, so they're going to try to challenge the highs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my stop back. Oops, there we go. Ah, come on. There we go. I'm going to take a look here at the Eagle, trying to get a longer term view of what's going on here. I suppose that could be sort of trendline support. Getting a red bar buy now off of the hard edge. Oh, you can see Trade Forecaster says we're in scalp mode for at least another half hour here. So you can anticipate the difficult trading environment to continue. The lower highs seem to be holding for the moment. Uh-oh. That's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the sellers take this bar and force it a little bit lower. Again, very indecisive market, not the best trade setup. They will run the highs now. They are going to test the highs. And this, of course, will be our test of the extreme. And we'll see whether the sellers can recover from here or not. Come on, get down there, Raptor. Well, the sellers have left the building. I'm just going to highlight the opening sideways range here on my eagle so I have a reference. Looks like the buyers are continuing to pour it on here. If the sellers don't step up here in a hurry, they're going to run my stops, which I will not be all that happy about. Come on, bears, where'd you go? Well, here we are, just left to ponder while they sort things out. So obviously I'm hoping that they're going to retest the bottom end of this trading range, but it does look like, well, here on the Hawk we're producing a first micro macro cross higher now. Possible trend change coming in the Falcon and a possible cloud crossover with support coming here in the Raptor. So it's not the most optimistic of setups. Oh, there they go. Scoundrels. Gonna tap me out here in a moment. Just curious whether this first micro macro cross has made it to its profit target yet. I know I always say it's the signal I take almost without exception, and you would have found your profit objective here. What I'm waiting for, I know we've got this Raptor trade going, but what I'm really waiting for is a breakout outside of this range. Get outside of this range that we're in, and we're going to wait for that whole test retest thing. So if you're waiting for a quality trade, this is what you want to do. We've identified that the market is within a sideways range. We got to let the market break out of here and show us that it has enough strength to stay out. This is what I refer to as the test and the retest. Same thing here to the downside. It's going to break out, it's going to retest, and then we're going to look for our signal. So our signal is going to come, around here somewhere. Otherwise, we're just going to get this sort of sideways nonsense. And there's no point in really participating in that so long as the market is moving sideways. It's really a bit of a guess. Now, I know some of the more aggressive traders, fellows like Jim and the like, are going to be shorting the high end of the trading range and buying the bottom end of the trading range. And that is a possibility. We have identified this as a trading range. We're not really getting any signals because the birds tend to focus on trend signals, not so much counter trend signals. But that is an option for you. I had somebody ask me about that before. And the way you would do that is with limit orders. So here, let's do it on the Raptor again because I happen to have the Raptor up. So let's say you were looking to sell the top end of this trading range. What you would do, well, they've since broken out there. Oh, it looks like we're going to get our test and retest. But let's say we're going to look at selling the bottom end or buying the bottom end of this trading range. So we would go in with a limit order. The limit order limits how much you are prepared to pay. So instead of putting a buy order up here, we're going to put a limit order down here. If the market comes down, we're going to buy in anticipation that this support will hold. It's just another strategy. It's not one that I focus on very often because I tend to try to be a little bit more of a directional trader. So I'm not sure yet whether I would call this what's going on here on the Eagle a retest or not. It's just the smallest of breakouts. Normally the breakout is a little bit more substantial. Pardon me, I got the frog in my throat or something here this morning. So normally, let's say we had identified a trading range like so and up here, and now we're getting a little bit of a breakout. See, that's not really the breakout I'm after. The breakout I'm after is going to go a little bit further, give it a serious retest, really show me that, in this case, the sellers have control. I'm Not getting that so much on the buy side here. So here's our highs. You see, we just broke them, just fudged them a little bit. Well, we're just just waiting the market out, I'm afraid. Not much going on in crude or gold. I'm snooping around a little bit here. And for those younger members in the room today, I'm going to make you feel a little bit older. The movie Toy Story apparently turned 20 years old today. Can you believe that? Wow. Okay, so what we're seeing here is not really a retest on the eagle, although if the market recovers early, we might consider it so. Well, I'm getting a little macro pullback building here in the hawk. I'm going to throw a signal on it just because nothing's going on, but really, again, if you're looking for a quality signal, I'm not so sure that's going to be the one. Nice thing about the hawk, and of course you can transfer this logic to your other tools as well, is that the shorter term target makes it a little bit easier to get in, get your money, get out. All right, so they engaged the order. We're looking for a little bit of a retest here. This does have the smackings of a bear, or pardon me, a bull flag. Does resemble it a little bit. But we've got a lack of momentum being a little bit of a concern here. Come on, bulls. Oh, it's just a quiet morning. These are the times you have to exercise a little extra patience. Yeah, Frank's making some conversation here because we've got nothing else going on. What was Bud? He's asking, what was Buzz Lightyear's catchphrase? We'll throw that out there for everybody. Oh, this is what we're waiting on. Thanks, Mark. Oh, yeah. To infinity and beyond, right? Yeah, that was a good show. Um, yes. Okay. Thanks, Mark. Mark's giving me a heads up here. The existing home sales and Fed announcement out at 12:15 Eastern. So that's going to put the brakes on any serious activity this morning. Here's our little macro pullback trade struggling away. Look at that. It wouldn't even give us our break-even target. A second macro pullback signal building. This is actually a little bit stronger now. If we get this second macro pullback, there's a very good chance that we're going to, at the very least, find our profit objective. There we go. And the reason is we've got this little higher swing low. You see right here? Oh, now they're going to make a liar out of me, are they? Yeah, and there we go. So you can see here how this, the lack of breakout, the lack of follow through is really weighing on the buyers at the moment. Let's see if they respect the trend line. And they're into the hard edge. All right, getting a little bit of a hard edge bounce here and on the Raptor as well. Still nothing really of quality. You can see the Falcon here struggling, perhaps giving us an early trend change signal. right, well, yeah, we'll try to hold out for something of a little more quality here. I was just going to point out the possible trend change signal building here in the Falcon, but honestly, we're lacking any sort of direction at the moment. We'll see how it starts to shape up, but it's almost like, and the market will do this from time to time, and no doubt you've noticed those days where you buy and the market turns and it heads lower. You sell, the market turns and it heads higher. It's almost like the market, is going to give you a false signal that it's actually breaking down. This is why we want to wait for our tests of the extreme, why we want to wait for our tests and retests. All those things are going to help keep you on the right side of the market. All right, here's our second chance now on the hawk trade. And what I would do is I would go with a more aggressive stop strategy at this point. Maybe something like parabolics, maybe even the bar high-low if you want to be really aggressive. And the whole point behind this now is that the buyers have shown that they're going to try to push the market higher. Therefore, it's time to get in and either minimize your risk exposure or get stopped out of the trade. So I think I'll go with the bar high-low. It's a little bit more aggressive, but you can see we have very little at risk in the trade now. And we're also producing a green bar sell. So there's every reason to suspect if the market fails here, it may start to head lower again, in which case, well, we don't want it moving against our stops anymore. So last chance for the bulls to get their act together and either get us to a profitable or break-even position or stop us out for a small loss. There's not much more you can do than that. Hooray! Alan is asking, would you mind explaining the test of the extreme? Absolutely, no problem, Alan. Very important concept, the test of the extreme. The test of the extreme always occurs before a market reverses. Well, I said always, but it's one of these things that occurs like 99.9% of the time. And here I can show it to you on any of the tools. We'll start maybe here with the eagle. Now, the easiest way to spot it for yourself is to roll back into the history of the chart and find where the market has actually turned around. And when you do that, you're always going to find this particular pattern. So here's the low, right? This is what I refer to as the extreme. Market comes up, and now it comes down to test the extreme, and it fails and starts to head higher. The fact that it fails to recover the trend, in this case the trend was down, is our cue that the market is going to reverse and try to move the other way. Same thing will happen near a high. Let's see if I can find you a good example. Well, this was just a tiny little one. Sometimes the problem is the test of the extreme is easier to see in hindsight. But let me see if I can't find you something with a little better structure. Oh, well, how about what we got going on right now? So the market's very, very sideways, but currently it's pushing higher. It's made a move lower. Now we're testing the extreme. We're testing the high. We're going to pretend for a moment here that the market fails at this point. Oh, let me go back one. There we go. We're going to pretend the market fails at this point and then starts printing lower like this. Now we may not have a signal on the eagle yet, but I guarantee that on the hawk and the falcon, we're probably going to be looking at some sort of trend change signal at this point. And having seen that the highs are no longer holding, that would open us up to the possibility of selling on the hawk and the falcon with a little bit more confidence. So there's our test of the extreme. The test of the extreme will always have this type of format. So in the case of an advancing market, it's going to go up, it's going to come down, it's going to fail, and then it's going to head lower. And in a declining market, it's going to do just the opposite. Some people refer to these formations as M and W for obvious reasons. You'll also recognize them maybe as a head and shoulders top and a head and shoulders bottom, same idea, or a 1, 2, 3 top, 1, 2, 3 bottom, or a ABC correction, or whatever you choose to identify it as. The concept remains the same, that this is the extreme price, here's the test and the failure, and once we get that, we have a pretty good idea which way the market's going to go. It's rare to see a test of the extreme fail. Very, very high probability. And it looks like now we're finally getting our breakout. Hooray! So now that we've broken outside of this trading range that we identified earlier, so here's the top end of the trading range. This is a little bit more substantial breakout. Now we're going to look for the retest. And then we'll come back and look for our buy signal. In this case, with the hawk, it's likely to be a 4-arrow consolidation, maybe even a macro pullback. With the falcon, it's likely to be a trendline touch. And we'll see with the eagle and the raptor whether we can get those into a hard edge bounce type scenario. Good morning, Jim. Jim giving us some advanced decline numbers here. It looks like we got 1600 on the buy, 1200 on the sell, so a slightly more bullish flavor to the market. We'll see if we get some commitment out of traders. Sometimes when the market breaks, excuse me, sometimes when the market breaks like this, the retest can be extended. You don't want to be too anxious. Like this would be more of a proper breakout now. It's not unusual sometimes to see the market drift a ways and then come back and finally give us a retest. Mark was mentioning the Fed report out at around 12:15 this afternoon, Eastern time. It may take the market this long actually to come back and retest it. But it will retest it. This is another one of these principles that you can find for yourself. So for instance, well, here's another area of congestion, right? We have highs, we have lows. The market's kind of pinched within here. Well, watch what happens when we finally break out. The market heads higher, it comes back, retests it. Well, actually retests it several times. Retested here, retested here, retested here, retested here. And oh, it's still retesting, but you get the idea, right? It will retest. Most often the retest comes rather quickly, and it looks a little bit more like this, although we would like to see that a little bit higher. But sometimes it will take a little longer. Unfortunately, in trading, you cannot make the market do anything. All you can do is be there when the market does something. All right, well, this is starting to shape up maybe a little bit more like a proper retest. We'll see here in a moment. Also watching gold. Here's gold on the Eagle. This could be interesting. We're getting a little bit of a hard edge bounce. Here's another test of the extreme. Now, these tests of the extremes, they don't follow a particular pattern height-wise. People are always asking me, well, how do I know if it's a test of the extreme? See, we actually had two of them right here. And I'm going to point this out to you here. This is the signal I'm looking at. So I'm looking to short that signal, probably cover above there. No, I can't do that. Can I cover above there? Yes, okay, I can do that. So here's the signal I'm looking at. I'm just going to throw that order in, and now I can explain this a little bit better. We actually have two tests of the extremes. We have a little itty bitty test of the extreme right here, And then we've got the bigger test of the extreme right here. How do I know that this is a test of the extreme? Well, short answer is if it looks like a test of the extreme, it is a test of the extreme. Remember what it is the test of the extreme is showing. Look at the power the buyers had to rally the market there. Then the sellers came in and they pushed, here, let's do this first, this one here first. The sellers came in and pushed the market lower. Well, do you really think after this great big rally, the buyers are going to give it up just because the sellers moved the market a little bit lower? No, of course not. So the buyers push back. Now the sellers are pushing hard, right? Because the buyers, again, considerable effort going in, a little bit of effort coming down. Buyers say, oh, no, you don't. Sellers say, oh, yes, we do. And then they start to push it down. And the buyers now getting a little bit perturbed say, oh, no, you don't. And they really start to force the market up. And the sellers say, oh, yes, we do. And at this point, you can be pretty sure that the market's going to try to head lower. So the tug of war continues, buyers pressing a little bit, sellers continuing to press, but it's because this tested the extreme, and we actually had an earlier green bar sell here, or the first trend change signal right here. So we did have a couple earlier opportunities to get in on this one, but it's because of these continued tests of the extremes, the fact that the buyers have shown me where they're going to be active, where the sellers have shown where they're going to be active, and to a lesser extent right here. If the buyers lose control at this point, there's every reason to believe that the sellers are going to try to force the market down to the lows. So there's an interesting opportunity building on gold. Okay, first macro pullback signal here on the hawk now, and this is the retest that we were looking at, right? So it's in the vicinity. It's not always going to hit. Oh, actually, it did hit right on the number. Sometimes it will fudge a little bit. It'll come up a little bit short, go a little bit deep. But it's the principle of the thing. It's the concept that we're most interested in. Well, the advanced decline getting a little stronger. Jim says about 1860 on the buy, 960 on the sell, so that's like a positive 900. All right, let's see whether or not we get some momentum now off of the retest. Possible late filter entry building here in the Falcon. Hmm. No, they still haven't committed to the retest. The hawk trade now into yellow bars, so we're going to scrub that. Well, there's nothing we can do about it right now, folks. Just kind of waiting for a signal to build. Yeah, well, I'm going to say, I'm going to go out on a limb here and watch the market fall off right after I say this, but because that's what it tends to do sometimes. I wouldn't be so interested in the soft edge sell that we're seeing here on the Raptor because we haven't really had a proper test of the extreme. We had a little itty bitty one right here. Hazards of being a trading room moderator. As soon as you say something, that's when the market will turn around and make a liar out of you. Oh, I will show you something else while we're kind of waiting for things to develop somewhat. You know, most of you know I tend to put a trend line or two on my chart just to see, you know, how the market is responding to trend lines, if it's responding to trend lines. Oh, actually, it's holding that pretty well. And I usually try to do a channel, if at all possible, on the trend line. Now, sometimes it's hard to draw the top end of the channel. So if you have the downside of the channel, you can transfer it. And it looks as though this is the range, which is currently confining the market, more or less. All right, so we're still kind of hovering in this retest zone. The buyer's not giving it up entirely, certainly not confirming anything, but see this whole retest that's developed? This would still be a credible retest, even though technically we've slipped a little bit below here. One, two, no, we don't have a 4-arrow consolidation yet. Okay, let's see. Well, no signal just yet. Everything's just so quiet this morning. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. Our gold trade has triggered, and we're almost at our break-even target. But you know what? As quiet as everything is, if the market flashes me $100 here again, I think I may just pop out with that. All right, well, this retest continuing to hold. 1, 2, 3. We've got 3 arrows on our 4-arrow consolidation pattern. 4-arrow consolidation is the only pattern I will take off of the yellow bar on the hawk. We'll see if they come back with one more, and I might be persuaded to try to buy. No, and we're not going to get that. All right. I think we're just going to see them continue to waffle here a little bit until that report comes out. It seems like they're waiting on some sort of information here. Well, we'll stay with it for just a little bit longer, but honestly, it doesn't look like we're going to be doing a whole lot of trading, at least not this morning. It'd be a good time to take an early lunch, or in my case, breakfast, and then come back and check it out again in the afternoon. But we'll stay with them just a little while longer here. Possible first micro macro cross lower here. Trend change signal now on the Falcon, but of course, no real test of the extreme, at least not on the Falcon. So you could look at selling that, but you would have to cover way up here just in case the market tried to retest before heading lower. Just not a whole lot of structure today. All right, you guys, I think we're going to close up shop. If you are going to continue trading, I'm a little bit more bullish today than bearish. I do think we will see a little bit of a rally here. But, the whole session has been very, very sideways. So try to be very selective with your signal. I wouldn't commit to anything until we had a little bit more structure to it. Hopefully tomorrow's session will shape up a little bit. We'll talk to you then. All right? Have a good day. Bye for now.